This is Joseph Magi, author of Playing Card Divination and Fortune Telling, The Magi Method. You can find the book worldwide on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback versions. You can find the full color card deck on Etsy/Magi Method. You can join us on Facebook. Today, we want to talk about Natalee Holloway. Natalee Holloway disappeared, gosh, it's 2017. So she disappeared on May 30th, 2005 during a graduation trip to Aruba. She was 18 years old. Her body was never found. There's allegations that she was given a date rape drug, that her drink was spiked. This man, Joran Vander Sloot, he is now serving 20. He was arrested several times. He was charged with the crime. He was released. There were two Calpo brothers. Apparently, the story is that on May 30th, 2005, Natalee got in the car with Joran and these two Calpo brothers, Satish and Deepak, and they went to the beach. And his story to the police, Vandersloot's story, is that the Calpo brothers left them on the beach, left Joran Vandersloot and Natalee Holloway on the beach, and she passed out, and she asked to be left on the beach, and so he left her on the beach. And when he came back, he went to sleep, and he came back, and then he couldn't find her. That's his story. Later, there's a secret camera confession where Vandersloot is smoking pot with his friend, and he confesses that she began convulsively shaking while on the beach. He was alone with her on the beach. She became unresponsive, and then he was unable to revive her. And had no success reviving her. And she died. This was his pot smoking. Anyway, 5 years to the day, Vandersloot is traveling in Peru on May 30th, 2010, exactly 5 years later, and he's staying with this girl, Stephanie Flores. I guess they're hooking up, and she searches his computer. She finds out that he is this kid, Joran Vandersloot, who killed Natalee Holloway, and so she looks in his computer, and he murders her 3 days later. He flees. 3 days later, her body is found in the hotel room, and he's now serving 28 years in prison in Peru. So it all kind of revolves around Joran Vandersloot. Is Joran Vandersloot guilty of the murder of Natalee Holloway? He's Dutch. His name sounds Dutch. Aruba is it's part of the Dutch Antilles. So he's Dutch, and I guess they get to go down there. Oh, you can't see my writing. Okay. So I thought I would just do two short questions. And the first short question, rather than long spreads, we can do long spreads or short spreads. Sometimes short spreads are more effective. You get straighter answers. So this is just a simple 6-card spread, and you read the cards in pairs, and this is basically past, present, future. So very simple spread. So is Joran Vandersloot guilty of the murder of Natalee Holloway? Real simple question, because this is, he was never convicted. He's serving in Peru for a different murder. He kind of admitted it, but not really. He never really admitted it, and no one can prove it, and her body was never found. So here we have scapegoat and coffin. That's the first pair. Scapegoat is guilty. Okay, you put the blame for your sins on the scapegoat. Basically, in Leviticus, it's part of a feast day, a ritual, where once a year the high priest chooses a scapegoat, a literal goat, and he puts his hands on the goat's head and he puts all the guilt for the sins of Israel on the scapegoat, and then they release the goat alive into the wilderness to wander around with their sins on it. So the scapegoat's guilty of the death. He's guilty in this death. So is he guilty? Yes, he's guilty in this death. The middle pair, cup overflowing, and executioner. Executioner, if there's a single card in this deck that indicates a murderer, executioner is that card. Okay, he could have showed up as the devil, a malicious, stupid person, and maybe it was kind of a terrible accident, more like manslaughter. He was also charged with manslaughter later and arrested for this in Aruba. But that also didn't quite fly. But anyway, here we have the executioner. The executioner, he cuts your head off. Okay, so, and it's paired with cup overflowing. So basically the story is that she was slipped in her drink a date rape drug. Okay, and so a lot of people think, a lot of the professionals think that she overdosed. Okay, and this kind of goes along with his drug confession. She began convulsing and shaking and was unresponsive, and there's another thing that says she was foaming from the mouth. So 10 hearts is very much, 10 hearts is a drunkenness card, 10 hearts is a drug card, getting very high. It's 10s are completion, and this is an excess. So but King of Spades, the executioner, he's kind of, he did it. Okay, this isn't really just an accident. This isn't just an accident, and he's guilty. So the executioner makes a decision and does something. The executioner's not a passive card. If this was the Queen of Spades, that's a much more passive card, and uses the circumstances more. The King of Spades just acts. So it seems he's kind of really guilty. And the final pair that we have here is Trinity and 3 Blackbirds. This is very interesting because Trinity, in a relationship reading, if this was a relationship reading, 3s are 3 people. Okay, like if you're asking about a relationship and you get a 3 or some pairs of 3s, there's other people in this relationship. Somebody's fooling around. So in this context, these 3s indicate other people involved, and there's 2 3s. Okay, so it's alleged that one of the stories is that he buried the body in a forest. Okay, and then later they dug it up, and he took it with friends. He dug it up, took it to this place, had it cremated, and then they took it to the ocean and buried it. Okay, and so that's the next question I want to ask is Natalie's body in the ocean? Okay, so he definitely had help. So he murdered her. This is not passive. He's guilty of murder. He's a murderer and he's guilty, and it relates to the drugs and alcohol. And he had help. Okay, so the next question, the ocean was dragged a lot. So I want to know, is she in the water? Is Natalie in the water? Okay, is this true? They cremated her and she's in the water. That's interesting. See, I get a no right in the middle. Okay, so is Natalie in the water? Is her body in the water? Was she cremated? Is her body in the water? No, she's not in the water. Okay, these are some very heavy cards, and this is the 10 clubs is a shadow card. You shuffle your cards, you deal the question, and then on the bottom of the deck is a shadow, and it's the underlying situation. It comes off the bottom of the deck. and it's helpful. So these cards are like sun, and this is moon. This is hidden. So this, we have sun, we have no, and we have cross. So is her body in the ocean? No, it's not. And then we have these very heavy cards. We have sun, and it's alleged that she was cremated. Her body was burned up to hide the evidence. Sun is very hot. Her body was burned up, and then it was reburied. Okay, apparently. Hamster wheel is very heavy. It's a 10 of clubs, and cross is very heavy. And look at cross. It kind of looks like a body. Okay, somebody with their arms stretched out. You know, we all have the image of Jesus on the cross. So I think she's buried. She was not put in the ocean, and she's buried. Let's add this up. This is 16, 17, 5 hearts. 5 hearts is fence sitter. Probably she is buried by a fence. And yeah, so she's not in the ocean, and she was burned up. Her body was burned up, as they say. So let's try to. Okay, so this is Natalie. She was 18. She was an honor student. She had a full scholarship to the Alabama State University. She got in a car with Jordan Vandersloot and 2 friends, the Kalpo brothers, Satish and Deepak, and she was never seen again. Okay, so and Jordan Vandersloot was never convicted. So in summary, is Jordan Vandersloot guilty of the murder of Natalee Holloway? Yes, he's guilty. This is the guilt card. This is the murderer card. This is the death card. He's guilty of murder in her death. It's by alcohol and drugs, and he had help. There's people helping him. So as alleged, people helped him. It's alleged that it was cremated, and then he threw the body in the ocean. The body was cremated, but it's not in the ocean. It's buried. The body's cremated, but it's not in the ocean. It's buried, probably by a fence. And they have searched and searched and searched, and they have never found the body of Natalee Holloway. So anyway, there's a on Oxygen on Saturday, August 19th, the disappearance of Natalee Holloway. There's a series running on Oxygen Saturday, August 19th, right before the moon covering the sun, the eclipse. Anyway, so Jordan Vandersloot did murder Natalee Holloway, and her body was burned up. I'm Joseph Magi, author of Playing Card Divination and Fortune Telling, the Magi Method. You can find the book worldwide on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback versions. You can find the full color card deck pictured here on Etsy /Magi Method. You can join us on Facebook.